We're live. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us after so many masterclasses today. We're going to be talking about the Microsoft Power Platform today, and Chris Huntingford from Microsoft has agreed to join us and share all his insights and all the awesome aspects of the Power Platform with you. My name's Louis Welcome. I'm product director of our Pump application, which is a recruitment application built on this platform and built on Dynamics, but I think Chris is going to go a bit more into the context and into the details. So I'm not going to take any more time up. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Louis. And thank you, everyone, for having me. This is super exciting. So I've got 25 minutes. I don't think I've ever done anything in 25 minutes. And for those of you that are thinking otherwise, just calm yourselves down. Okay. So anyway, I'm a partner technical architect at Microsoft. If you want to know a bit more about me, that's where to go. I'm an Uber nerd. Love the Power Platform. And you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell is he going on about with this Power Platform nonsense? And we're going to get into that, right? We're going to talk a little bit about how it all fits together. But I do want to tell you that I am 100% a dedicated maker. And you're like, what on earth, a maker? That sounds even more weird. But I promise you now it'll make sense shortly. So if you guys want to get in touch, that's where to do it, right? Scan the QR code or go to aka.ms/Chris H. So down to business, my friends. First things first. When we're looking at digital transformation, we've spoken to a number of decision makers and organizations, and everyone is so keen on this digital transformation concept, and it's a bit of a buzzword. So if you're playing buzzword bingo, go ahead and check that one off the list, right? But what we know is that organizations need to go faster. They need to build stuff faster. You need quicker time to value. Now, that's pretty straightforward, right? You're thinking, but we've been saying that for years. Well, guess what? We've got an actual process and a set of technical advances that will help you do that. So the technology that we've got is effectively called low code, no code, or high productivity. The second thing that we understand is the fact that a lot of you guys all have your data already. So you're using solutions like enterprise resource planning solutions, CRM systems, and all sorts of other things. And what's fantastic is a lot of you have the data already. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. We know from a digital transformation perspective, whenever we speak to the organizations, these are the key points, but there are some issues. So when you crack open the hood, when you open that can of beer, when you open the bonnet of the car, there are a number of things that come up every single time we speak to orgs. So I'll give you a story. Yes, I work for Microsoft. I'm not the most polished individual, never have been, never will be, a rough diamond if you say, but I'm an ex-IT administrator that used to work in courier and logistics. And when I was an IT admin, I actually used to build software. So before that, I worked for a company called Borland who wrote a tool called Delphi. So yes, I did get my hands dirty playing with that muddy code. But here's something interesting. Every single time I spoke to an organization, I spoke to the people inside the organization, they said to me, hey man, Chris, we'd love this new piece of software to help us do something, or we'd love a new process. And every single time they said that to me, I went, you know what, folks, we don't have the time, we don't have the budget. We're really just struggling to make that work, right? And the most insane thing that I keep on seeing is going into organizations that have paper processes everywhere. I walked into a housing association once in the UK, and they were sticking colored Post-its on each other's screens. And I was like, well, that's kind of productive. Why on earth would you do that? And they said, no, because email doesn't work for us because it just doesn't make sense. We're getting email swamped, but colored Post-its help us identify the problems immediately. So I was like, that's bonkers, man. There's another thing that whenever somebody can't find a piece of software within the organization, there's a thing called shadow IT. Oh, that sounds pretty creepy, right? And you know what it is? It's when people in your organization go into the internet and they download weird things. Not those weird things, CRM systems and Excel sheets. And you're going, oh man, that sounds familiar. Oh, absolutely. What people are doing is because all IT organizations aren't able to solve the problem for their business users, the business users take the law into their own hands, right? A bit like Deadpool. And they go out and they download all these things. And guess what happens? You lose, I would say, interest or reliability in the data. That's the first things first. The second thing is because you don't have the integration, you will never get those insights. You will never get reliable insights from your organization. So when you go to your manager at the end of the day, or when the business user goes to their manager and they're like, Hey, Mary, look at this awesome report I got. Mary goes, tut, 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 John, where did you get that from? Can you trust that data? Don't know if you can. Is that data regulated? Sounds like a problem, right? So all these issues exist within organizations. Now, being an Uber nerd, right, the way that I kind of decided was, if I'm going to help an organization, what I want to do is empower the business users to build out solutions themselves. But I also want to empower IT to set up those digital guide rails in the background to make sure that the business users behave themselves. A bit like my wife does to me, right? She's really good at setting up digital guide rails, okay? So here's the thing. Better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know. Let me say that again for you. Better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know. Provide the platform for business users to create the solutions they need, but on top of the right framework, on top of the right foundation. Okay, so business folk, you get to build solutions on top of the right platform, and IT folk, you're still in control of the platform from a security, governance, and compliance perspective. That's pretty sweet, right? So the way that I see businesses working is a bit like this. Because I'm an Uber Lego nerd, I was scratching through a bunch of Lego bricks on Sunday trying to build out this epic model, and it was really difficult. And in fact, fighting the children and trying to get the Lego bricks was even funnier, right? Now, a lot of organizations' landscapes look a bit like this, where you crack open that organization and there's lots of stuff going on. There's candidates, there's skills, there's storage, there's email, there's talent management, there's just tons of stuff under the hood. And how do you manage all of that? Well, I want to tell you that low code, no code is the right way to go, right? So first things first, we know that the demand for mobile application dev will grow at least 5 times faster than any IT department can handle in the next few years. So now here's the thing, okay? We have a thing called the great developer shortage. Not everyone can sit down and write C# code, okay? The next thing is that there's a very smart dude in our organization called Satya Nadella who said in the next 5 years, 500 million new apps will be created. Please scrap the term apps and let's talk solutions, because that's actually very, very key here. It's never just an app, it's always a solution. And loads of them will be built, loads and loads and loads. And here's the other thing, is that when you break this number down, 65% of solutions will be built in low code, no code by 2024. Okay, so first things first, it wouldn't be a Microsoft presentation without a Gartner and Forrester chart, so we're awesome. Just throwing it out there, okay? But we also have some amazing competitors. So a big shout out to the competitors. Low code, no code is great, guys. Keep on doing what you're doing. There's a very important piece on the slide that says 3.5 million monthly active developers on the Power Platform. What? Developers, people that sit behind their desk and write code and, you know, eat pizza and drink lots of Pepsi and potentially hide in a basement? No, my friends, a developer is somebody who can build something. So my friend Louis on the call is a developer. Even though he will say he's not, he creates things, right? My wife is a developer. She's able to build things. I'm a Lego developer. I build stuff. So creation is the most important thing here. Now, where does this all fit in? Well, here's the thing. A lot of organizations right now, and folks on the call, please listen to this, because if you take anything away, this is key. What you'll probably do is you'll have a problem. And you'll go down to the technical version of M&S and Tesco's and go and pick out your packet of SaaS, software as a service, and you'll put it in your SaaS shopping basket, and off you go to the till and you'll pay for it, and you've solved but one business problem. Fine, no problem. The next thing that probably happens is you might have some processes that are a bit more complex than that. So what you'll do is you'll go and find an Uber nerd, an Uber geek, somebody that's like an absolute ninja at putting those digital bricks together for you. And you'll go and bring them in to write you a custom solution. Now, I love developers, but here's the thing. If that developer ends up going to fight crime on another planet like Captain Marvel, my friends, you have gotten yourself into a thing called technical debt. How do you maintain that solution? Well, I don't know. I mean, there's loads of ways, but what we say in the Power Platform, because we are low code, no code, and we've already got all of the digital bricks built for you, we say that everything else is opportunity. Everywhere else in your business that you feel like you have a problem, and we're basically the digital Ghostbusters, right? And you want to solve that problem, and you can't find a SaaS solution, and you don't want to use a custom developer, I would implore you to look at low code, no code. So what is this Power Platform? Well, let me show you. First of all, the most important thing to us in the Power Platform is data. That is the most important thing. Without data, nothing runs. Data is digital gold, my friends. It is absolute digital gold. Do you know that in the last 5 years, organizations with more than 100 terabytes of unstructured data have doubled? Do you know how bonkers that is? Every time we have an event at Microsoft, we're like, there's somebody in a lovely dress or a very neat looking jacket and shirt that gets on stage and says, big data is awesome. And you're like, oh, it sounds cool. It sounds cool. What do I do with it? And everyone's like, it's a great question. What do you do with it, actually? So I'm going to tell you what you do with it. In the Power Platform, first of all, you analyze data. Use tools like Power BI to create what we call actionable insights. Point number one. Point number two, my friends, is that you act on data. You leverage tools like Power Apps to build solutions to act on that data. So my friend Louis on the call, he has built a model-driven app, an application to help you act on data. You then automate processes. Power Automate. The way in which you remove all those boring technical things that people do every day and you replace it with automation. Let me give you an example. It is very easy to build an application with 100 fields on a form that does 100 things. It is way more difficult to build an application with 10 fields on a form that does 100 things. Make people's jobs easier. The automation layer and the artificial intelligence layer underneath that does that for you. And then finally, what we call the assist layer. Power Virtual Agents, the ability to have a conversation user interface. So setting up what we call bots. I still think they should have called it power bots, right? So instead
of make more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, it's probably taken by like a Transformer movie or something. And then, yeah, so the whole thing is really key, right? So those four elements make up the Power Platform. Now, no, in Microsoft, we don't just shove the word power in front of everything. Well, sometimes we do. But the key part here underneath that is your data layer. We can connect to any data source. Literally, without kidding you, you can. If your data source is an on-prem data source with some weird form front end, we have a tool called robotic process automation that can interact with that data. If you've got a brand spanking new shiny tool that you want to interact with, you know what's even more awesome? We can interact with that. We've got a thing called connectors, okay? Now, we have 400 and something connectors in the store right now. If you can't find a connector to the solution you're looking to build next to or onto, you know what? We'll make one, or you can make one, right? The next one is AI Builder. We've infused AI into everything. So those of you that are playing Candy Crush or on Tinder right now, you're using AI. Those of you on PowerPoint or reading your email right now, you are using AI. It is everywhere, okay? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people freak out about artificial intelligence. They're like, oh my gosh, Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to bust through time and start killing Terminators. No. So let me tell you something. The reason people are afraid of AI is because they don't understand it. I don't know if any of you have ever watched a horror movie, like Paranormal Activity, when they walk quietly through the house and then suddenly a door goes behind them. And people are like, what? Can I show you something? Watch this. Okay. That's me opening and closing my door. That didn't terrify any of you. Do you know why? Because you know I'm doing it. The reason the horror movie scares you is because you don't know what's doing it. And that's like AI, right? You don't know what's under the hood. So what we've done at Microsoft is we've democratized artificial intelligence up into our platform, and you can see the cogs working, right? And that is really important. And then finally, what we call the Common Data Service. The Common Data Service is a mechanism, a cloud-based relational data storage facility for you to put in data. No, it's not access in the cloud. We have 7 layers of security. So if you're looking for that compliance and governance, we can supply that. And the pump solution is actually built on top of the Common Data Service. That is really key. If you're looking for compliance and governance, that's the place to go. So all of those amazing digital bricks in mind, which I'm pretty excited about, I'm pretty happy to say that I'm a Power Platform maker, right? I make stuff. I spend as much time as I can making stuff. In fact, I made that thing you're looking at right here. For real. Check behind me, sitting on the wall. So what's important is that I'm fusing the left and right hemispheres of my brain to be creative as well as logical to build out solutions. And you know what? Don't ask me, ask our customers, right? There's loads. If any of you have ever flown with Virgin Atlantic or had a windscreen repaired by Autoglass or even popped open a can of Pepsi or a bottle of Pepsi, congratulations, you've interacted with the Power Platform. It's absolutely everywhere. But the thing that I figured out pretty quickly is that Oh man, sorry, I keep on forgetting. This is a recruiting audience, right? So what about actual issues you can solve within recruitment within the Power Platform? Well, there's tons. There's tons and tons and tons. In fact, there's lots. Candidate attraction, interview management. What about that application on your mobile device when you're chatting to that awesome candidate in an interview, and instead of you having to take notes and going, thanks, I'll scroll that on my writing pad and then somehow decipher your hieroglyphics into something that's logical. You want to be able to make sure that you're interacting with that candidate. Interview management application, you can build that pretty quickly, right? Application management, hiring and onboarding, collaboration and communication. Actually, I couldn't think of anything. I just wanted to put cool robots in the picture, but yeah, that's what it is, right? And then customer and candidate recognition. How do you pick the right customers? How do you pick the right candidates? That's pretty key, right? What if I told you all of this was possible with the Power Platform, and the Pump solution is built using these exact digital bricks? So, Louis, you guys have already got pre-built IP around this whole thing, right?
Yes, yeah. We're filling the recruitment gap, I suppose.
So it's filling that digital gap. Okay.
It is. I mean, a good example of Power Platform. I had an email earlier from a prospect asking whether MailChimp plugs into Pump. But that becomes a completely different question with the Power Platform, because MailChimp is a connector into the Power Platform and Power Automate. And therefore, you can then do whatever you want with MailChimp connecting to the common data service. And therefore, yes, it does integrate with Pump, but there's no going through APIs in the traditional sense or an integration project. But I see it like you're able to use aspects of the Power Platform that you need depending on how your business works, not just in a recruitment sense, but you've got the marketing platform there, you've got the sales platform there, you've got the middle office. So, and it can be so easily adapted. That's the key. It's interesting, but sorry, Chris, I won't jump into. It's interesting, but there's other workshops going on where people are warning about the dangers of customizations and low code, no code, and there's an argument around that from proprietary systems, of course. But I don't see the threat. I think this is so easy to do, and it only adds more value to what's already there out of the box. You're still getting something out of the box with an IP application built on the Power Platform. It's just you can do more with it.
That's the thing, right? So you can basically flavor this in any way you want. It just so happens that we're flavoring it this way. The key thing here is the digital guide rails piece in the bottom. A lot of people make the assumption that low code, no code is going to create what we call citizen developer Armageddon, which is nonsense, because that just means that hasn't been set up correctly in the background. I'll be dead honest, right? So a couple of other things that are pretty important here. When you're looking at all of these scenarios, the way that we work in the low code and no code platform of the Power Platform is that we say that we've got basically any sort of scenario covered, right? So we can have a solution for personal productivity, or we can have a solution for organization-wide initiatives. And we're doing it already, right? And we're doing it successfully, which is pretty awesome. Our goal is to become Tinder for business and IT. We want to bring them together in a sweet, loving relationship to make sure that the right people are building the right things and the right digital bricks are provided. So what I want to say before I pile into a demo very quick is that at Microsoft, our message is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. The only way you can do that is by saving time. Okay, money is not going to get you that. In the movie The Avengers, Captain America says no amount of money bought you a second. Okay, so what's key here is the only way to create this opportunity is to save people time, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Right. So if you all jump off of Tinder, get off of Candy Crush, do whatever you're doing. Right. Grab your mobile phones and go ahead and scan this code, or use aka.ms/pp-rec-comp. Right? Couldn't think of anything more complicated than that, so I decided that would sound the best. And what we're going to do is that if you could log the most random recruitment complaints. So say, for example, you're a customer and you have a recruiter and they're getting you candidates, right? Log the most random complaint you can possibly think of. I've seen some pretty weird ones, right? But there's a lot of stuff around candidate mismatch, which basically means that the solution provided hasn't matched the candidate correctly. And there's tons of other stuff. So I hope you've all got that. I'm going to stick that in the chat real quick. Or Louis, if you wouldn't mind just popping aka.ms/pp-rec-comp. I'm going to have to switch out the screen because now we're going to get into ninja build mode. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drag my browser screen across. Could you confirm that you can see that, man? I hope you can. Yeah.
Yep, that's come across.
Marvelous. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is basically what I've done is all that data you're giving me, I'm going to start amassing inside my solution, right? And that'll synchronize with my dashboard. So while you guys are capturing stuff, and please be as rude as you want in the complaints, it just makes it even funnier. Like I've seen some weird stuff. Also, those of you that are sensitive, yeah, this is a live demo, so anything could happen. But basically, you can see that this is my Power BI dashboard. So I told you one of the legs of the platform is Power BI. And I'm able to analyze and understand what's going on with all these complaints. So you can see that Duff Beer has got a lot of complaints. So Duff Beer are one of my customers, right, as a recruiter, and they're just complaining about stuff, loads and loads. Wayne Enterprises is next, then we've got Stark Industries, right? Now, as you can see, Duff Beer, I mean, this is nuts, and there's a lot of candidate mismatch issues, right? So this means that my complaints have been categorized primarily as candidate mismatch. So you can actually drill in and start getting an understanding of what's going on. Most of my candidate mismatches have happened in London. Uh-oh, that's not great, right? I mean, and you can actually see there was a huge amount of them in September. Don't know what that means, but there we go. So we can tell right now that most of my candidate mismatch issues are happening in London. You can also use the artificial intelligence functionality in Power BI and understand what are the key things that are driving this. Okay, so let's switch out to, whoa, that's interesting. Likely, ooh, okay, no, never mind. So let's switch out to Acme Group, pick another one. So it basically says that most complaints are logged from the city of Manchester. Wow, okay, so that's the key thing that's influencing those types of complaints. Okay, so why don't we do this? You all hopefully filled in a form that looks a little bit like this. It's not the most delightful looking thing. I don't build pretty forms or apps. It's not because I have no talent. It's primarily because I have no taste. Okay. And you can actually see that once you filled in this form, the information would have landed up in what I call my mid-office complaint management app. Say that 15 times really quickly, right? And this is all embedded in Teams, by the way. So you would have seen my epic colleague Stuart demo some stuff in Teams. What I can do is I can actually drill into my recruitment complaint records and take a look at what's going on. Now, I'll sort by day and we'll go and take a look at some of the random complaints some people have captured. What's cool is that that information gets brought into here with a tool called Power Automate, which I mentioned earlier. So you can see, let's have a look. Oh, wow, somebody's being rude. I think I know who that is. There we go, Pump, cool. GQL Markets, wow, the office. Canada's, let's have a look, right? So I can actually pick different versions of this and drill in. So let's go and pick in candidate mismatch over there, the office. The candidates you are sending me are only good at C# and I'm looking for Java devs. Okay, that's a bit boring. Let's pick something else. I'm just being cheap. Yeah. Let's go to newest to oldest, right? Let's pick this hooligan person over here. Okay, right? Candidates mismatch. I did not get the job because because I did not have superpowers. Yeah, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Right, so basically you can actually promote that through a process and say, yeah, we can go ahead and resolve that complaint and et cetera, which is pretty easy. That's the Power Automate tool. The other thing we can do is actually take a look at my account record, which will be Duff Beer, and we can actually go in and take a look at the number of complaints associated to them. So you can see all my interactions had with Duff Beer. That'll load very quickly. So all these emails and phone calls, let's drill into my actual recruitment complaints over there. And we'll be able to go and drill in and see who's been logging what. And there's a lot. There's 336 recruitment complaints. If I pop in there, you can actually see the number of complaints categorized. Now, what I want to do is I have to shut the session down because I'm running out of time. But effectively, all I've shown you is the ability to, number one, view analytics on complaints. Number two, manage those complaints in a model-driven app and take them through a process. And you can bring information in from the outside world. So with that being said, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Louis and the team, and also Pump. Thanks very much for having me. Like I said to you all on the call, please check the Power Platform out. You can build that solution, by the way, in under an hour, but you must have the right digital guide rails. So my name is Chris from Microsoft. Thank you very much and have yourselves a magical day. And again, Louis, thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was great. Thank you all for attending. If you've got any more questions or want to find out more, I posted a few links. You can connect with Chris on LinkedIn or myself. Speak to our sales about the Power Platform. We support it. We can give you advice around it. and I'm sure Chris would be happy to connect with you all as well. So
yeah, I don't shut up, man. So
that was brilliant. Cheers, Chris.
thanks, everyone.